Okay, before we begin, let's take a moment to talk about yoga props. These are the basics that you're likely to see whenever you're taking a class, whenever you're going to a studio, whenever you're seeing people demonstrate. I'm sitting on a yoga mat, I've got a yoga strap here, 2 blocks, and a woven blanket. And here are all of the things you probably have around your home already that you could be using instead of going out and making an investment in props. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm a huge fan of having blocks around, of having a strap, of having a blanket, but you don't need to go out and buy specific things that will suit that. You can probably have things around your home. A lot of us have foam rollers. I've used this as a block. I don't have a protein powder jug, but you probably have a water bottle, and I've got a kombucha growler here. These are great things that you can use just like you would a block, just to elevate you, just to create some space. Honestly, sometimes something like this wouldn't be as comfortable as to say lay on. So if you're putting a lot of weight on it, if you're laying back and your heart's below you, then I would do something like grab a pillow off the couch, maybe fold it up so that it's a little bit squishier. You might have some nice small blankets, but even what I find is really useful instead of a blanket that I do have around the house is just to grab a nice thick bath towel. I got a whole stack of books here. You will often hear me say grab your stack of Tolkien novels, which I apparently don't have a stack of Tolkien novels, and I should talk to my partner about that. But these are all things that you can use instead of a block and instead of a blanket. I don't have a big yoga bolster at home, but they are absolutely delicious. So I would just grab a nice thick pillow off the bed. Some of the ones we have are a little heftier than others, and I have legitimately used an extra pair of leggings instead of a strap. Totally works. You just, use it like if I were to stick my leg through it. You just need something flexible and fabric-like. So, the standard belt, scarf. Do you have any sort of Pilates bands around? Just use the things that you have. Depending on how you folks feel about that, I could give you some recommendations of some good places to get things. Maybe like don't buy things on Amazon, but there are lots of really good options out there. But I just want to let you know, yes, you will probably see me using blocks just because I have them, and so I'm going to be indulgent for myself. But if you don't have these things as we go through these series, as we go through the rest of these classes, don't feel like you're missing out. You don't need to run out and buy stuff. And in fact, you don't really need a yoga mat. It's a mostly Western convention, and there are a lot of lineages that still do not use yoga mats to this day. It can be nice to have that extra padding on the floor, so if you do have a hardwood floor like me, maybe that's the time where you grab the towel, the blanket for underneath your knees. I will say, I've seen a lot of folks use the Pilates mats, like the really, really thick, squishy ones. Those are great for joint support when you're down on the floor, but you are going to have a harder time balancing on them when you're standing, and they tend to be a little bit slippery depending on the floor, the surface that you're practicing on. So just be mindful if you are choosing those mats. If you do notice that you're struggling a little bit, then it might be more worthwhile to find the thinner, the more sturdy yoga mats, and then just like pad up blankets, bolsters, sometimes even like cut extra strips of mat can be helpful. So I hope that this was helpful information to you to help demystify the idea of like, oh shit, I want to do yoga, but I don't want all this extra shit in my house. You don't need it. You probably have plenty of shit in your house that you can use to make your practice a lot more accessible, a lot more enjoyable, and to just support your body when you need it.